Kathleen Kennedy just dropped a bombshell response to the growing Star Wars boycott, but is she really blaming the fans for the franchise's downfall? As Disney and Lucasfilm scramble to salvage what's left, Kathleen's comments about toxic fans and diversity priorities are raising even more eyebrows. But is she admitting defeat, or is this all just damage control? Why are Star Wars movies and TV shows like the Acolyte and Taika Waititi's project on hold? And what's the real reason Disney is pulling back on future films? Stay tuned, because this could be the beginning of the end for Kathleen Kennedy's reign over Star Wars. Let's break it all down. Lucasfilm is facing significant challenges, largely due to the direction taken by Kathleen Kennedy and others with recent Star Wars projects. These issues have caused a ripple effect across several movies and TV shows, affecting the entire brand. In response to fan feedback, Disney CEO Bob Iger stepped in and decided to put several upcoming Star Wars TV series on hold while prioritizing movie development instead. This shift has placed several highly anticipated Star Wars films in jeopardy, including Taika Waititi's project and the Ray Focus film. With these films now uncertain, the only Star Wars project still moving forward is The Mandalorian, which continues to captivate audiences, particularly with its fan-favorite characters like in Grogu. Amid all of this, Kathleen Kennedy remains a central figure in the debate over Star Wars struggles. Despite mounting fan criticism, she continues to deflect blame, labeling fans as toxic for the franchise's decline. This refusal to take responsibility has only intensified the frustration among fans who feel increasingly alienated by her leadership and the direction Lucasfilm has taken. Kathleen Kennedy's response to growing criticism of Star Wars has become somewhat predictable. Rather than addressing the core issues raised by frustrated fans, she continues to frame the situation as a battle against toxic fans. However, it's becoming more difficult for her to ignore the undeniable truth that a significant portion of the fan base is turning their backs on the franchise. The fallout from recent projects is undeniable, yet Kennedy refuses to accept any responsibility. Disney has made DEI a major focus across its divisions. Kennedy has been vocal about this, particularly regarding Star Wars. She defends the franchise's direction, claiming that Lucasfilm's primary goal is to tell meaningful stories, but insists that DEI is at the heart of this mission. However, this emphasis on inclusivity has only added fuel to the fire of fans who feel these values are overshadowing the essence of the franchise. Kennedy stated that she has no regrets about prioritizing the representation of diverse communities in Star Wars, including LGBTQ characters. However, her comments show a misunderstanding of the fanbase's frustrations. She acknowledged that Star Wars fans are often protective of the franchise, feeling that it belongs to them rather than to the creators. Despite this, she has asked fans to keep their negative comments to themselves, essentially urging them not to ruin the experience for others. This approach has done little to ease the tension. Fans who feel alienated by the changes are further frustrated by Kennedy's refusal to engage with their concerns meaningfully. Rather than seeking common ground or listening to criticism, she continues to frame the backlash as something to be suppressed or ignored. This only deepens the divide between fans and those shaping the franchise's future. Kennedy has also suggested that Star Wars should not be about catering to fans, but about the vision of the creators. According to her, the franchise is driven by the philosophy and direction of the creators, not the demands of the fanbase. This perspective frames fan involvement as secondary to the creators' vision, a sentiment that many in the fan community find frustrating, especially given the long-standing relationship between Star Wars and its passionate supporters. Kennedy further explains her push for better female representation in Star Wars, citing George Lucas's original films as lacking well-developed female characters. She argues that the focus of current projects like the Rey-centered film is to correct past imbalances, particularly regarding female representation within the Star Wars universe. However, this approach to increasing representation has sparked controversy. Kennedy suggests that toxic elements within the Star Wars community, which she describes as a loud minority, are hindering progress. She implies that vocal critics are making it harder for creators to do their job, claiming that their negativity creates unnecessary pressure. By labeling critics as part of a toxic minority, Kennedy shifts blame onto fans with legitimate concerns. This deflection dismisses the frustrations of longtime Star Wars supporters, many of whom feel that the heart of the franchise is being sacrificed for a political agenda. Instead of addressing their valid reasons for dissatisfaction, Kennedy frames the backlash as the work of a vocal but unrepresentative group. Kathleen Kennedy's refusal to acknowledge mistakes, especially regarding the Acolyte series, has been a point of contention. As the president of Lucasfilm, she is expected to take responsibility for the direction of the franchise, but instead she continues to deflect blame, pointing to toxic fans. as the cause of the backlash. This approach feels like an attempt at damage control rather than a genuine reflection on what went wrong. Her defensive stance is far from surprising, considering her tendency to blame fans for their dissatisfaction. Her insistence that the Acolyte was not a failure, despite widespread disapproval, is a clear attempt to protect her reputation. She states that she has no regrets about the project, refusing to admit that there may have been mistakes in the production or creative direction of the series. Kennedy's comments are confusing and inconsistent. On one hand, she claims that the priority is to create a story, but then links that goal to a focus on DEI. If the story is the primary focus, as she says, why does she insist that DEI is essential to making the story valuable? This shift in reasoning paints a picture of inconsistency in decision-making, leaving fans questioning whether story development is being overshadowed by a political agenda. Her dismissal of the controversy and criticism as just noise further alienates the fanbase. By downplaying the negative feedback, she essentially disregards the concerns of fans who have been loyal to the franchise for decades. This stance reflects a lack of engagement with the core issues raised by fans and a refusal to understand why these projects are not resonating with audiences. At the same time, this dismissal attempts to divert attention away from the real issues. Kennedy's refusal to acknowledge the shortcomings of the Acolyte or the mixed reception to recent Star Wars content is indicative of her unwillingness to confront the consequences of decisions made under her leadership. By framing the criticism as just noise, she avoids addressing the deeper questions about the future of Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy's refusal to acknowledge the poor performance of the Acolyte speaks volumes about her approach to leadership. Despite evidence of the show's failure, particularly its lack of success in Nielsen ratings and its decline in viewership, Kennedy continues to avoid discussing the show's performance. When the ratings for the Acolyte hit a low point, especially during the finale, it became clear that the series wasn't going to get a second season. This failure contributed to Disney CEO Bob Iger's decision to cancel the series, which ultimately influenced the decision to pull back on future projects. Internal tensions at Lucasfilm and Disney have been growing. There have been reports of infighting between Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger, as well as friction between her and other Disney executives. Some board members are urging Kennedy to decide whether she wants to stay with the company or step down. The drama surrounding her future at Lucasfilm is one that continues to unfold, and we'll be keeping a close eye on it. So what do you think about Kathleen Kennedy's leadership and her refusal to address the true reasons behind the Star Wars franchise's struggles? Do you agree that her inability to accept responsibility for the failures of projects like The Acolyte is damaging to the future of Star Wars, or do you believe the fans are being too harsh on her? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to stay updated on all things related to Star Wars and Hollywood drama, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon so you don't miss any of our latest videos. This is Movie Saga, and I'll catch you guys later.